I was a professional musician before that.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
bring me back there.
Oh, yeah, no, in the 90s I had played in a band, like that was my job for a while. And then that got old and I was trying to find something that was not so much just on the weekends and a
Mhm.
little more regular. Only paid good, but at the time, it was a lot easier than that music is today. But then, yeah, I was kind of looking for something different. Went to a temp agency and ended up kind of through Manpower Professional at the time, getting this temp job, carting around PCs in this, PC uplift project, swapping them out. And that was kind of how I got my first job in IT was, hey, I'm here to deliver your new computer.
Cool. So welcome to Diary of a Sysadmin. So the tagline is talk to IT pros to learn who they are and how they got into IT. So I got a special guest here today. His name is Steve Jesok. Um, s- s- so I was trying to think when did I meet you officially? And it might have been like on passing because were you there at the um was it like a happy hour or a welcome back party for TC Smug at what was that restaurant?
Oh, Pittsburgh Blue.
Pittsburgh Blue.
No, I
Oh,
did
okay,
not go
okay,
to that.
okay. So I must have met you after then.
It would
So
have been after that. Yep.
yeah, I can't pinpoint remember, but sometime after then. So, but I did find something cool about you is that well, I'm currently the VP of TC Smug, and you were the VP of TC Smug back in 2012. Is that correct?
October October 2011. I had to use the Wayback Machine on the internet to figure this out because I couldn't remember it. So yeah, I went looking through the archives for the minskug.org was the original name, right? And yeah, sure enough, October 2011, I showed up at a user group meeting. I didn't know anyone from anyone, right? I walked into the room and there was a lot of people there because I believe Ken and Johan were there, right? And this was at the old Microsoft office, but it was about the same size as the current one when it's full. So it holds, I don't know how many, 100 some people, but it was full and they were having elections. And people didn't want to run and no one wanted to be VP. A bunch of people wanted to be president. So I just raised my hand blindly. And I think even if you go back, it'll say the new guy. I'm like, hey, new guy here. I just put me up as new guy. I'll run for vice president. That was my platform. I'm the new guy.
Wow. So it was like literally one of your first couple times.
Very
Uh,
first.
very
Not
first.
literally. Not like one of no, the very first time I showed up, I stepped into the deep end, yeah.
Wow. And it's kind of crazy. I mean, you're probably in front of like you mentioned hundreds of people. So
Yeah,
uh,
but there's a lot of people there that day. Yeah, no, it was pretty wild. Everyone turns around, who's this guy?
did you go because like somebody introduced you to TC or Minskug at the time, or how did you end up at Minskug?
I'd heard about the local user group, and honestly, before that, I worked at IBM for a long time, so
Mhm.
like my whole story kind of comes from that side of the IT world. And I had changed jobs, and as part of that job change, I stepped into a position where I needed to be able to use System Center Configuration Manager.
Mhm.
And so then at the time, that was our local System Center user group. So might as well go see what this thing does, understand it better, right? And that's where like the local user groups are a fantastic resource, online forums for that sort of thing where, hey, let me go and see what I don't know, which is probably a lot. And that's how I kind of got involved with user groups. Yeah.
Back in the day, did you also have like duties of bringing drinks, getting food set
Oh,
up?
yeah,
What
yeah,
what
yeah. It was just very similar to how it is today. I was the vice president, so I took care of lining up food and lining up kind of whatever needed to be done on the side. Brian at the time, Brian Mason was the president. I think Brian was president and I was vice president for 2 years, and then I became president. Yeah.
do you remember like what your role as president was, or like some of the things you were like most proud of during that time, like for your transition to president?
It was really kind of just getting the whole user group started. And then somewhere along in there too, we incorporated the user group. So we went to from being just a group of people randomly meeting, right, where we had someone paying for food, because at the time we just had the vendors pay for food and bring it in too. So it wasn't like it is today where, hey, we have some money in the bank, because we weren't established as a nonprofit. And so that's where I don't even remember which year it was. Nash Fearson and I then went in, it was probably 2013, and turned Minskog into a nonprofit IT, you know, club. And that kind of led to everything that happened with MMS and the user group today.
Do you remember if there were any other user groups at the time, like outside of Minska?
Yeah, there were other ones. There were lots of other ones.
Mhm.
There was Greg's out in Seattle. Um, down in there was AZ Smug with Mike Terrell. At the time, there were a couple of really huge groups in Texas. I think those have both since like sparkled and faded away. Where they're not as prevalent as they were. Obviously now, especially like within the last 5 years, has been a big resurgence of like online user groups, right? So, but at the time there was quite a few local user ones going on yet. I think there was a Charlotte one, um, one in New York, one in Chicago. There were quite a few.
I had this crazy idea of like I think HC Smug has like a coffee mug. I think it would be pretty cool to get like some sort of sponsor, like Patch or Recast or 2.0, whoever,
Yep.
to get all the user groups in like a mug, and then like have their logos in the bottom. I don't know, just little things. I'm like I find a lot of value from user groups. Like
Yep.
everybody has different scenarios that they bring, and I'm like I've mentioned before, I'm like maybe I'm just biased. I really enjoy being around other IT pros too. So
No, you absolutely get a lot out of them, you know. And at the time, back when I first started coming to the System Center user groups, I was doing a lot of automation with Opalis, which then became System Center Orchestrator, right? And so I think my first topic that I spoke on might have even been Orchestrator and the things we were doing with it to automate IT processes where it was at the time.
okay, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Take me back to February of 1999. I believe that's when you were first starting your job at IBM.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. 1999. It was doing an OS/2 to Windows NT migration
How
at IBM.
and how did you end up there? Were you like interning before? Were you at
Was
an apprenticeship? Like what was that time frame to
I
brought
was
you
a
to
professional
IBM?
musician before that.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
bring me back there.
So yeah, no, in the 90s I had played in a band, like that was my job for a while. And then that got old, and I was trying to find something that was not so much just on the weekends and a little more regular. Um, Definitely paid good, but at the time, it was a lot easier than that music is today. But then, yeah, I was kind of looking for something different. Went to a temp agency and ended up kind of through Manpower Professional at the time, getting this temp job, carting around PCs, working this, PC uplift project where I was swapping them out. And that was kind of how I got my first job in IT was, hey, I'm here to deliver your new computer.
I think you have to unravel the music part a little more. I were you traveling? How did this all end up? Are you graduating high school and you're like, I just need to,
I
be the next rock star?
Everyone wants to be a rock star. I was in an original music band. We recorded a couple albums, and then I started playing in a basically bar band, cover band, full time. That they had a full schedule. Like there was one period where I think I played every day for like 40 days because we played every night. Like so, there was a lot between the two bands, right? And so yeah, I was doing all that. I had a part-time job at a music store, right? Like so, everyone wanted to be a rock star, right? Like so Why not do it? Give it a try. But yeah, no, I played guitar and we had some songs that our original band was it was like punk rock,
Mhm.
grungy kind of music at the time.
Mhm.
And then the bar band, we played all sorts of stuff where I played guitar for a set and I played bass for the rest of the night. Truth be told, I still play with the singer in that band is in our little acoustic band we have today. And the guitar player in the other band is in that band. And the bass player in that band is in that band.
Wow. Wow.
When we get together and play, yeah, it's people that I've been playing music with now for a long time, right?
Do you remember how old you were when you first started playing with that band?
When I first started playing with a few of those guys, I was in high school yet. Definitely
Oh,
was in high school. Yeah, I was probably like 91-ish.
wow.
I'm old, right?
So you like seen you have seen these guys, just evolutionize like yourself, right? Like, like hey, we were in our 20s, now
Oh,
we're
yeah.
in our 30s now, right? So
Yep. Everyone's doing different things now, right? And we still play music for fun because it's fun to do that, right? And then when I got my first when I started at IBM, I was basically doing different projects, and I finished that computer uplift one, and then they put me on another project. And then the first manager that they put me with at IBM, I started doing not necessarily help desk support, but like
Mhm.
level two support. Um, he was a English major, right? He's like, no, no, I wanted to hire you because you're a music guy. I got three other music folks here. They're all fantastic employees. I'm like, all right, picking things for different reasons. I love it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, no, and back at that time too, I mean, going into IT, it didn't always, you didn't, it wasn't required you had a computer degree, right?
Mhm.
There was really more of a trade school mentality about it in a big way because, and you don't see a lot of those schools anymore because like, ITT and there were a couple of them here in the Twin Cities area. They're gone now, right? Because they really were like they almost turned into you pay X amount of money and they just give you the certificate, right? And well, are they really giving you the skills or not? I don't know if that was the case, but at the time, back then, 25, 30 years ago, it was kind of a trade mentality about it too, in a sense, where you can go and learn this. You could learn Novell, like came up several weeks ago, right? And you could specialize in those things, and then that was your thing, right? And so, yeah, I got into doing PC stuff, and then became a desk side tech, and then I started working OS upgrade projects. So we were doing at the time, a Windows 2000 upgrade project. And all these people, this was like in the land of sneakernet at the time, right? Like you've heard that term, I'm sure, where you got to run around, put in the disks, kick things off, go click these buttons, right? And so then I started making it a little easier by writing little scripts and things that when we put in those disks would then kick off things that would click the buttons for us.
Mhm.
So then, all right, instead of us needing 30 people to do that, we needed 10, right? Um, and then did that on that project and then started doing a little bit more here and there and different projects. And I got to work on all sorts of fun stuff over the years. But, uh, but yeah, that was kind of how I got into it. It was just kind of, I'm going to go try this job. Sounds like it'd be a great thing for me to go do.
Absolutely. And it definitely rings to your I think it's Blue Sky or Twitter bio, like not just another click admin.
Not just another button clicking admin. Yeah.
Which
Get
I
clicking, people.
um so migrations back in the day, like for instance, today you can just go to Intune or SCCM and just like probably just push my upgrade,
Boy.
right?
Yep.
Back in the day, it was just literally I'm just trying to understand, like
Oh,
say you're on Windows 1 and you want to get to Windows 2, you would have to literally have the operating system on a
we were
disk or a
We were dragging around Ghostcast and ImageCast servers at the time that we would put on the floors, and then we'd run around and boot the devices to the server, which would then start downloading, right, this image. And then after that was done, then we'd do a bunch of things, right, to join it to the domain and then to kick off app installs and then run some scripts for this. And then at some point, you'd have some form of SMS or Tivoli takeover, right? But it was very, very manual to have that change be done at the time.
And during that time, is that when you started playing around or learning a little bit more about like SMS at the time, I believe it's called?
At, well, at that time, I probably started playing around more with like crazy things that we make fun of now, like auto IT, right? Because we're just clicking buttons, and all that thing would do is click buttons and right, bring this to the foreground, start this process. So I played around with that a lot. I did a lot of actual automation with Perl scripts at the time. So running Perl on Windows, and probably a lot of that was based on the fact that I was working for IBM, right? So a lot of
What
Perl and things like that going on with scripts and stuff and Tivoli.
what is ProScripts? Like this is my first time ever hearing about it. Or a
Perl's
high
a
level.
scripting Perl's a scripting language. It's another scripting language that you can use. At the time, like Perl scripts were used on web servers. So like the I did some amount of web work at the time where, learning CSS and Perl scripts and different things like that to do. You build the pages using the scripts. And so I learned Perl partially to do some stuff with web work and then also to do stuff with Windows automation, just because that was something that we had that did. It was a little more powerful than just a command file at the time. Like batch files are batch files. Don't get me wrong, those tools are cool and they still work. Oh my God, they still work. But it was a little more extensible and you could do more with it, right? Like you pull in data, you could parse the data, right? Not do this four string thing that was this crazy. Like, whoa, that's a hell of a shell script.
And so then you're going on in your career. Um, when did you start to maybe specialize or just really delve into the systems management portion?
Yeah.
Did
So myself and a friend were working in an asset management organization, and they needed to be able to do things a little quicker. And we started to build scripts to manage all these devices. And so we kind of, in a way, built our own little system for deploying software updates, software to the devices, scanning for different settings. And so we did a lot of this at the time, like with PS exec, VB script, because we'd use VB script to collect data off the devices, put that into XML files. The XML files went to a server. We'd use the XML data, then render a page where we could see all the values. So it was pretty crude. But it was really effective. It did the job, right? Like what they asked us to do. And every time they needed something done, we were able to get it done. Like okay, we'll have it done in like an hour. We'll give you the report, right? And they'd go to another team that was doing something with a larger system and they'd be like, oh, we'll go talk to the team. We'll get it scheduled for tonight, right? And we'll get you the data tomorrow. And so we really were kind of driven to find agile ways of coming up with how we could execute these things quickly, just in time to get it done. So then that way, hey, if there was a 0 day, because those happen then too, hey, we're all patched. Meanwhile, on the call, everyone else is still planning, right, on how they're going to go and get the patches deployed with other systems. But yeah, he and I built a lot of cool little tools like that for both upgrades and all sorts of things.
do you guys still work together? Or is he gone on and to a different place?
He's gone on. He's an architect somewhere else now.
Okay, okay. So I'm
Yep.
sure I'm sure he remembers those days. If he listens to this, he's like, man, those were some good days. So tell me about Novell and ZenWorks. When you think about that, I'm gonna keep pushing
All
this.
right.
I don't know anything about it, and I love to learn about this.
You need to track down someone by the name of Jeff Price.
Jeff
He was here
Price,
in the Twin Cities last I knew. And you want to say, hey Jeff, I want you to give me your perspective on Novell. That's what you need to do.
Jeff Price.
Jeff Price. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna find Jeff Price and I'm gonna message him. So I'm gonna get to the history of this.
Yeah, and my experience with it at the time was we were using Novell for file servers because it was fast. It was really fast. It was really performant, so it did better, bigger files structures, larger amounts of data. That that was one of the things it was really good at. And so all of our network storage, right, that you'd access, your network drives were just Novell servers in our different offices at the time. So yeah,
Were you
obviously it's changed.
do you remember kind of like it going through its cycle of life?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, because eventually we did end up putting in Windows servers and then moved even on from some of those, right? Now we're using NAS
Mhm.
appliances for that sort of stuff instead because they're even more performant. So,
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your running. Are you still running? I know when I met you, I
oh boy.
would see you running all the time.
Yeah, I need to be running all the time. I ran 4 days last week. It really hurt. Um, I'm getting back into it because summer's here, right? I I'd love to go out and run in the cold, but it's just hard to do. But then once it gets to like 50 degrees, all right, I'll get back at it, get running. It's a good way to stay healthy if you can run. Otherwise, just go walk. Like honestly, going for an hour long walk gets the blood
Mhm.
flowing too. It's, you know, the important point is we sit in our desks, whether we're at home or in the office. Oh, well, you have to walk around a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, like I grew up, like I mentioned, like I was an electrician. You're like, we're always moving around doing stuff, right? It's not like you're sitting at a desk. That's like you're doing a trade, you're moving around
Mhm.
getting stuff done. But yeah, it's to me, it's just super important to just help me stay healthy and not
Absolutely.
in the chair.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been studies too. I mean, it says like even if you do 20 minutes during like during the workday, you mean
Yep.
your blood flow to your brain is really well something like that, right? I'm not a
Oh yeah.
neurologist, but
Yep. I try to get at least 30 minutes.
Mhm.
If I can go longer, I'll go longer, but 30 minutes or a good solid
Mhm.
walk, right? And I'm happy.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm sure, especially you've been working from home for a long time. So it's, you've picked up a lot of these good habits, so especially like you can easily get stuck at your desk. You know, I, I, I'm, I've done it right. Like you're just stuck at your desk all day because you're busy, but it is
Oh yeah,
important
you
to
get
move.
working on something and rolling and you kind of get in the flow and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I need to step away and go do this or go do that." And then you come back to it, right? And like in another few minutes, right? You're in the flow again, you're rolling with it and then you're like, "Oh, it's 10:30. What just happened? I need to put this away and go to bed." No, and so that's where it's finding ways to limit that though is like super important. Like when I changed jobs 5, 6 years ago now, one of the things we have to check out our access. So I would use when my access expired as my counter. Like, oh,
Nice.
it's done. Nope, I'm sorry. I can't do any point more. I need to walk away now. Right. And that worked really well for me for a long time. But yeah, you have to find ways to help limit that because otherwise it can get out of hand. So it
Absolutely.
really has to be work-life balance.
And another activity that I saw that you participate in is golf. Are you an avid golfer? Are you uh here and there golfer?
Well, I don't know where you're getting this information from, but I'd really like to know. Uh, I
Uh,
do golf.
it was on
I do
Twitter. It was on
golf.
Twitter.
It's fun. Golfing is fun. It's, you know, you get out, get some exercise, roll around, right? The course have, you know, I'll walk it or I'll take a cart. But yeah, no, well, I'll go golfing with friends in the summer on weekends here and there. Always a good time.
Yeah. I only bring it up because I've been golfing recently and I'm like, you know what? Let me ask Steve if he wants to go golfing.
Oh,
So
yeah, you should. Absolutely.
that'd be that'd,
Absolutely.
that'd be a good like user group meetup or a not a meetup, but just something to toss out
User
there for
group
people.
golf tournament. Do a
Yeah.
best ball with sets of four. Yeah,
Oh, that'd be good. That would be a good one. Hey,
I like.
that's another great activity, right? Like getting people involved.
Oh yeah,
So you could,
absolutely.
just what's it called? Pick people with different or like place people with different people that you might not know. So
Oh yeah, that's it would be a
mm,
great way to get to know people.
mm, absolutely. So I'm gonna write that down. That'd be a good one to pitch.
Awesome, I like it.
Have see if somebody can help us sponsor it. Speaking of
Everybody
sponsoring,
loves golf. Someone's going to sponsor it.
oh yeah. Speaking of sponsoring, um, you you m- are a part of or have always been somewhat associated with the Two Pint Brewery Tour at MMS. What what got you? How did you start that? Ever since I've known you, you've helped out with that. So
Fred Bainbridge used to do the brewery tour for
mm,
MMS, and it started off with just I think some people hopping in taxis and going to a couple places, or maybe taking the train. And then Two Pine sponsored it, and I volunteered to set it up, right, and go a bunch of different places. And so we took people to two, three, four breweries. Four was a bad idea, I'll tell you that much. So three was probably a bad idea, and four was worse. That might be a better way of putting it. Uh, but yeah, so now we try and keep it a little more, low key and go somewhere where people can hang out for a while, right? And get to know everyone else that's there. It's nice because inevitably it seems like half and the minimum half the people, and this year especially when I said who's a first timer on the bus, it seemed like 65% of the people put their hand in the air, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of new folks. So it's really cool to meet people and hang out, at the beginning of MMS and kind of set the stage for the week. And
yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I mean the location this year was amazing. Udapils,
oh
the
yeah,
weather was beautiful. Like they had pizza,
yeah.
great beverages. So
Yeah, we went to Wabasha for many years. It's a great place too. But this year, things with scheduling didn't quite work out at first, and then so we picked a different location. But yeah, Utah was a great choice.
absolutely, absolutely. And to that, when did you first start speaking at MMS or any other like user groups too?
So it was probably like 2012. If you go to the Wayback Machine, it'll say Steve Jesok. It's spelled wrong.
JSAC.
Jasek. Yeah. And this is why you can't find any info on me. Everyone's spelling my name wrong, right? So I probably have 17 aliases I don't know about. But yeah, no, I spoke about orchestrator automation at one of our first user groups. And then I've pretty much spoke at every MMS. I think there's only a couple of the fall ones that I've missed. Like I missed the first one because I think I was in at Microsoft the week before, and so I didn't want to be away for 2 weeks. But as far as the Minneapolis ones, I've spoken at almost every single one. And then I've tried to make the fall ones. Last year was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, so you know, stay in good standing with the family. In Florida, with my IT friends. Steve, you should go to Florida. No, no, all the dad would be mad, right? So I inevitably followed the good voice and went and stayed home.
Do you remember who you first spoke with or some of the people?
Oh, let's see. Someone that I spoke with quite a bit long ago that actually we're talking about potentially speaking together again, either this fall or even next May at MMS, Nash Pearson.
Oh,
Nash used to be involved heavily in the user group. Um, and so we spoke at MMS. He and I did like an all-day workshop at IT Dev one year on updating all the things. So all the things you should be doing to make sure all the devices in your organization are up to date. Um, so yeah, Nash and I spoke together quite a bit. Um, and then lots of other people.
do you remember who was like? Was it you that you were just like, I'm just gonna go speak at MMS, or was somebody like, hey, you should go try it out?
I had been doing some speaking beforehand where, I did it at the user group a little bit. And so when we started MMS, it was like, oh, no, I can do some things. I can cover a few topics. Like I can talk about automation stuff. So I did some things on PowerShell and automation, talk through those sorts of things. Feels like I've been doing BitLocker now for like 6 years.
I think that's kind of the preface that I knew you of. I'm like the BitLocker guy.
The BitLocker
That's
guy,
me.
yeah. At one point, I joked to Mark that we should get T-shirts that just say the BitLocker Bros, yep, right? And then I just have to extend it. So whoever else spoke with me, it doesn't matter. You're getting a BitLocker Bro T-shirt because that's what we do and that's what we talk about.
It, I mean, yeah, it's such an important element, though. I mean, the encryption of devices.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um, and I did see you worked at a couple of big banks as well. Did you like when you were transferring over there or going over there, working over there? Did you probably had a really good surface of like best practices and stuff at IBM? I'm sure that really like followed through at the next couple places as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Like I learned a lot of good practices at IBM, right? Because at IBM, I was a consultant. We were on projects. Like we had to follow things to the rule. Like you had to understand how to say no, right? Like, can you do this? No, it's not in our scope of work. I'm so sorry, right? Like, what do you mean? No, I'm sorry. That's not what we're here for, right? Like, go talk to this person. They'll help you, right? Like, um, but yeah, there was a lot of best practices around just like general things like documentation, all these simple things that people forget, documentation, naming standards, like keeping things simple, like not making things overly complex. Because as soon as you make things overly complex and you start tying those overly complex things together, it does turn into the Rube Goldberg machine, right, of IT, and no one wants that. So yeah, there was a lot of great simple things that I learned and took away from IBM.
Outside of like the technical stuff, what are some other things that like you learned along the way? Maybe like maybe soft skills or anything like that. Like would you say like, oh, this is a really good trait that I learned?
Soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. So when when back long years ago, I don't even remember this. So this was at IBM, but like soft skills and talking to people is important, right? And just, having a flow. So when you're talking, you're having a conversation and you're working the user through it, right? But at the same point, you have to be listening, right? Because everyone's different. And so you're trying to communicate a message. It's not only important how you're saying it, you have to be listening to and how they're receiving it, right? Just because there's there's people that would be upset with, hey, this thing isn't working. And so, yeah, we're not supposed to be psychologists, but you have to talk them down through trying to talk them through something, right? And so like really, really learning how to have those soft skills to talk to customers was important then. Someone I sat next to would make jokes that, were you a radio DJ? You'd make a great, I'm like, no, I'm, and, I never made fun of people. I never said, hey, Bob, you said 37 times on that call. I was counting. Um, right. Like there's just simple things like that. And honestly, I still do those things today because it's some of those things are just we all do them all the time, but paying attention to how we talk when we're talking and communicating, it is super important just because that's ultimately how people perceive you, right?
Yep.
Like that's where those soft skills come into play because communication is really key there. That's huge.
Absolutely. Especially I think like empathy, right? Because especially like some people can think that computers and just technology in general is really
Yep.
complex. It's like they're already a little intimidated. So like,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
you you
absolutely.
you can kind of be that voice of like, calmness for them. So
Practice radical empathy. Yeah. You know, and then those sorts of skills also come into play like on a team, right? So as I started to step into different leadership roles and working and training techs and working with techs, like it's important to kind of get to the point of, all right, which pieces you know of this and which pieces do you need to learn, right? Because I can maybe help you learn some of it, or I can give you resources to learn those things, right? And then as you're working through things on projects too, like have to brainstorm. All right, I want all the good and all the bad, like any ideas really, because even these things that we think, oh, that was a ridiculous idea at the end of the day, well, that was the best one because maybe it was the simplest or something, right? So yeah, all of those soft skills are important at all levels of IT.
absolutely. Um, is there anything in technology that excites you recently or that you're looking forward to? It could be AI. It could be, um, something in device management. What is something that maybe that you think about that you're like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Obviously, AI is going to be interesting, right? It does so much. Like anyone that would hear that and say that that's not the case is crazy,
Yeah.
right? One of the reasons I probably stayed in IT as long as I have is the fact it's constantly changing, right? Like it's not like you go and you learn these 30 things, right? Like, and those are the 30 things and they never change.
Mhm.
And then you work at that job, right? For 40 years and then you retire, right? No one does that in IT
No,
because you
no.
probably learn those 40 things every 4 years at a minimum or every week because it changes so fast, right? And so that's really where, I've always done a lot of stuff with automation. So being able to apply things different ways there. And then like with a lot of the ways that different aspects of AI have come into all the tools we use, like, whether it's things in the Microsoft stack or even in third-party tools like and Nextthink and other tools that I have exposure to, those have prompts where you can ask it questions to give you the data too. Like Tanium does that, where you can ask it a question and it'll give you the data too. So I mean, a lot of those things have been coming slowly for a long time now, where being able to query the data, yeah, it's important to understand how you get it still, just because if you take that and use it somewhere else, now understanding that is important, but that's where you can certainly use a prompt to skip a lot of the busy work and the playing around time to get to, hey, here's functionally what I wanted to do. You know, add in all the comments. Okay, how's this look? That's awesome. I don't write all the help documentation. Like, okay, those are busy things we don't have to do. Even scaffolding out the script so it does 90% of that for you, right? It's all right, this is wrong. I can see that this needs to be changed or this isn't real and fix this. Because yeah, it doesn't always go the full distance, right? But it gets rid of a lot of the busy work where I'm not spending 3 hours writing the script. I'm spending 5 to 10 minutes getting to a point where I've got a functional thing that I can start unit
Yeah,
testing, validating, hey, yes, this is right, or these functions are wrong.
absolutely. And it's to me, it's definitely helped like kind of speed up the process in some like say you're scripting, right? And
Yep.
you have a base of your script and you're like, hey, can you check if I have any like, syntax errors or like just
Yeah.
uh, and it's really good at helping you explain some of it too. So,
Yeah.
um and I'll pivot to it a little bit too. Have you like, you being a music person, do you see it in music at all? Like, do you see it
Yes.
how like, yeah,
I
tell me
hate it.
about.
Absolutely hate it.
Mhm.
So if you took every song you've ever heard and you put them together into one song, and then you asked AI to create songs off of that, it's all going to be common changes, right? There's not unique new things in there, which drives me nuts. Like, okay, all right, I can sometimes tell that's an AI song, right? And it's like one of these days, some AI song is going to show up on some charting thing on Spotify, and I'm going to be pissed, but the world may not be, right? Because, you know, what people hear in those songs, yeah, it's the same, a lot of the same elements and hooks. I mean, the underlying structure of how music works has a flow. I mean, it is very methodical and mathematical. No lie. So that's where AI in those spaces, yeah. Here's my lyrics. Write me this country song and create the words. All right. Friend of mine, Sam, we had this song he wrote years ago, right? It's like, oh, hey, take the lyrics from this song and make it sound this way. All right. Now that's the way we played the damn song. What the hell is going on? Okay. Right. So, but there in that point again, we used it as a jumping off point. So we said, take this, make it sound this way, and then we took that and then we made that our own, right? So that's where it absolutely can help with music where it may not be the thing that's creating the entire thing, but it could be the building blocks of the song potentially. Right.
I think there was I don't know if you remember this, but there was like a Drake song or a Biggie song that was AI created, and it was like I think it was in the top charts of Spotify or something. But
Oh,
like that's kind of crazy to think that AI has that capability, but it's like it's not. the creator getting the um like royalties or like actual
Yeah.
credit for it. So
Yeah.
it could probably get a little messy there, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's really where too, like if you take that thing and then you turn it into something else, all right, did it create it or did you just tell it to create something based on a sound that you then took because you told it to do that? You're creating that, right, in a sense. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's not quite Westworld yet, but damn it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I I think of some ways that like maybe it can be helpful is like I was talking to somebody, they're like, maybe if there was a nanny bot or something, like, if you have both working professionals and I don't know, I still need to unravel it.
I've seen some pretty terrifying movies about that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So it, it's it's
Yeah,
a lot to unravel, and especially
it
from a
is.
technical perspective, and you know, from a security vulnerability, like it's yeah,
Those things
it's
happen slowly over time, though, right? If you go back 30 years even and say, hey, we're going to take your money and digitize all of it so you never actually have to touch cash,
Mhm,
coins anymore, right? People have been like, no, what are you talking about? That's crazy, right? Well, what do we do today? Bloop, bloop, bloop. We just tap and go, right? Like it's all digitized. It just happens slowly over time and it becomes the new norm, right? So all those things you just mentioned, once things get to a stage, will just become the new norm slowly over time, right? I may never see it in my
mhm,
lifetime, right? And maybe you will. Maybe my
mhm,
kids will. Who knows? And maybe it doesn't even get to that stage before any of us have a
mhm.
chance to see, because maybe it takes longer because it is very complicated. There have to be guardrails. Like
Absolutely.
there's all those, all the reasons why we're like, well, I don't know. That kind of frightens me, right? Like you have to build those things in, right?
Yeah, yeah. We can't be the only concerned ones. The people probably making it,
Responsible AI. Yep.
Yes, yes. So in that terms, you have kids who are going to, go on to be, you know, whatever they want to do. What advice do you give to like the next generation of IT professionals? Um, oh, the next era, like somebody who wants to get into IT.
Do what you want to do and do what you love.
Mhm,
If you don't love it, don't do it. Go do what you love. Because in life, if you go and you pick a job and it is not what you love, you are going to go to something that you hate for 8 hours a day, right? And at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year, those 8 hours a day equals more time than you may spend with your family in that day, month, year, right? And if you hate everything about that, that is a miserable life, right? So out of the gate, IT or not, do something that you love. It has to be fun. It has to be not work. Like, I love learning new things, helping people solve problems, right? And figuring out the next best way to do something, right? But that's where if I didn't love those things, it could be very like, oh, this is so much stress, right? Like, but that's where it, is it stressful? It can be at times, but
mhm,
I enjoy the challenge of it, right? And so really that's where kind of back to I love the fact it doesn't change.
mhm,
That's where my advice would be is if you love change and you love challenges and you think you're going to love IT, chase it. If you don't love any of that and that's what you went to school for, that's okay. Go do something that you think you'll love instead and chase that. And if you find that you don't keep doing it for God's sakes.
mhm. Yeah.
Right? And try the next thing because everyone needs time to find their space in life. Like, not like we all just pick the right thing out of the gate. Like, some people do, and they're lucky. Some people pick something and they stick with it and they're miserable, right? So that's really where my advice is do what you love, right?
Absolutely. No, yeah, and it's true, right? Like I didn't think about it that way of like, you portion up the time in the whole year, you spend more time doing your work,
Yeah.
with like doing that more time than you spend with your family. So that's like a super important thing. So
You got to love the people you work with. You got to love your job. It's like a key part, right?
mhm, absolutely. Yeah, and so in that um I'll move it to the next section. If you could share the stage with anybody, with the band or whoever, who would it be?
Wow. Let's see.
Dead or alive?
All right. Let's see. I really love, I really love you too. I do. I do. I love you too. I love the Foo Fighters. I'd love to just play with the Foo Fighters and throw down for a few songs. That'd be fun, right? I, I'd love to play with the Who, like back with in the '70s, back when they were big and large. Like that's massive. Like Queen,
Oh,
Queen played like for like 350,000 people in Brazil once. Like just a sea of people you could not imagine, right? Like I've had a few opportunities where I've gotten to play where it's like all you can see is people in the light, right, at night. And it's like, it's where are all these? What are these people doing here? And like, all right, this is fun, but like this is wild, right? But like a huge, like some of the concerts that happened in the '70s, like would just be a trip to see today. I don't know if we would ever even see that today, just because I don't know that people go out and chase that as much as they did then, right? Because if you wanted to see music and you wanted to see bands, like it was all in real life then, right? It's
mhm.
not on a device you can just tune
Yeah.
in, right? Like so that was a different reason to go chase things then. But that's where, yeah, I'd probably have to say Queen would have to go on the list. Yeah, I could probably keep naming bands and talk about this for another 90 minutes. We should change this time.
Well, I'll kind of keep to it. You mentioned that you had played for like a huge group, like where you saw it was at night and you saw a bunch
Yeah,
of heads. Do you remember like kind of the count?
I have no idea what the count was. So here in Minnesota in the summer, like every little town has a city festival,
Mhm.
right? And then in that city festival, like they will use that as a way for their local like Lions Club or Sportsman's Club or whatever club to like they'll have a beer garden to sell, beer or they'll do pull tabs on top of like however else they want to try and make money with having this festival. And in this specific case, they ran out of beer at like 10:30. Right? And it was in August and it was warm, but it was crazy because there were other towns having similar things go on, but they were like 30 miles that way, and we could see the thunderstorms that way with all the lightning going on. While all this is going on, right? There's this thunderstorm way off in the distance, which it was crazy. It was lots of fun and surreal. It was cool.
Oh man. And ha- and I'll continue. I because I enjoy hearing this. And what was like the most memorable concert that you had been to, like you participated in, not like sang at or
Yep.
performed at, but like where you were an attendee. You're like, man, this is a freaking awesome concert.
Gosh. Let's see. Concerts. There's gonna be a lot of dead air here. Well, when I was younger, I would see concerts of people that came through the central Minnesota area,
Mhm.
right? And that was fun. The first like concert where I was kind of like, wow, was probably Soundgarden in 1991. That's that was probably the first one. Like the craziest performance I ever got to see was probably George Burns doing his farewell tour when he was 101. And he like did this little tour where he kind of did his bit he'd done all along. He came out with his like 2 foot long cigar, smoking it, like, hey, telling his whole life story of everything he did right, right? Say goodnight, Gracie, And so it was cool just because, like, from a performer standpoint, like, it's not music, granted, but like he had such a following, right? Everyone saw him in so many other places, right? And so that was a really cool thing to see in person just because there's times where you miss seeing things. Like I got to see the Foo Fighters play many 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 times with Taylor Hawkins, but and I'll never see that again. I saw him play with a different drummer last summer. Are they loud and sound good? Yeah. I don't know if it's the same thing though, right? Because everybody has their kind of own personality about them, and that's where like seeing musicians where another good example. I went and saw Snow Patrol recently, band that's been around forever. Also went and saw a Scottish band. Oh, now I'm going to forget their name. They opened for Oasis in the late 90s. Same original members though, and it was at the small venue, and it sounded just as incredible like as they sounded back then when they sounded huge. Same with Snow Patrol, like same original members that have been in the band for the last 23 years that everyone knows of, right? But it still sounds the same. And then, when you go see a band and it's like, oh, it's the original bass player, like, okay, this is not quite the same. It's not the same vibe. It sounds like the songs, right? But it turns into like almost a cover band thing, right? Where we didn't write them, so we're playing our interpretation of them, right? And so really that's where I'd have to say anytime I've gotten to see a full band and it's the full set of original members, it's almost generally always been great, unless those original members have some serious problems where they can't perform. It's too. But at any rate, like, yeah, no, there's lots of them.
Oh man. Um, let's see.
I thought we were going to talk about IT.
It, it's the Diary of Sysadmin. It's a closed book. There's or open book. I
It's true. That's
so
true. As Matt Zasky said as when I first met him. So Steve, tell me what exactly is it that you do here? I see you around this place.
did you meet Matt Zasky a while back too?
It was several years ago. Um, and it was actually at an MMS. Like I took him to lunch. It's like I see you around the user group. Like I see you around here. Like so, what exactly is it you do again? Well, I've been around this group for a while. Like when MMS first started, I was treasurer, right? So everyone knew me because I was the person that was reimbursing them for their airfare, right? And so everyone knew Steve. "Oh, Steve sending me the checks. Yeah. Hey, buddy, what's up? Right? Like,
You had to be on. They had to be on your good side.
yeah. Everyone loves a person that gives them the check, right? No, so so that was, I was more involved in the conference back then, right? With that aspect. I still help doing social stuff and where I can with other things. It's again, it's a great thing to be a part of and get to see other people and meet other folks and talk about how to solve this problem or hey, I've heard about this. You have something to do with this? Oh yeah, that's pretty much my thing. They just took it and said it was theirs. I'm like, really? I had no idea. But if you're not there to have those conversations with people, right? You'd never get the context. But
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Well, I'll end it here. Thanks. I'll stop it. Let's see. Stop.